He's the mayor's.
Okay, why don't I start with a roll call?
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, and sorry if I mispronounce any names, it's my first time with you all. Christina Lynn Aoyong Chong, present. Larry Bayard, not present.
He's here.
Oh,
This is Larry.
oh, you got the link. I can grab it for you after. Okay, Larry is present. James Kavika Gower, not present. Laureen Godfrey, present. Nicole Hine,
Not yet.
not here.
Kind of comes late.
Chandra Kanemaru,
Yeah, Chandra.
present.
Present.
Joseph or Joe Omaru,
Omura. Here.
present.
Also wrong name card. I have the old one. I'm not a vice chair.
Okay, I'll note that. Thank you. Chase Shigemasa is not present, and David Yong. Present. Okay, we have quorum with 6 people, 6 board members. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm late. I'm stuck on. Oh my God. I'm
Accident.
dealing now.
It's like that every day.
Okay. All right. So, may I call the meeting to order? We have established a quorum through Spencer. What is your last name, Spencer? Johnson. I'm sorry. I'm looking at it at a weird angle. Okay. Thank you very much. This is our first time meeting Spencer Johnson, our new neighborhood assistant. So may I call the meeting to order? A quorum has been established. So we have present here. We do not have Chase Shigemasa, who is our chair, present, nor do we have our vice chair, James Gower, present. So therefore, I'm stepping up as I'm third in line. So I'm stepping up to call the meeting to order until we elect a new chair. So may I just review? We're having a regular neighborhood board meeting for the Salt Lake, Alia Manu, Foster Village and Airport, number 18, sorry. A quorum has been established. The rules of speaking, anyone wishing to speak is asked to raise their hand, and when recognized by the chair, pro tem, to address comments to the chair. Speakers are encouraged to keep their comments under 1 minute. Those giving reports are encouraged to summarize remarks under 3 minutes. Please kokua, silence all of your electronic devices, show respect for the speakers and others in the community, and also on our virtual. Presenters should be prepared to present when called upon. During the virtual Zoom meeting, please mute your device when you are not speaking or requesting to speak. The board may take action on any agenda item as required by the state Sunshine Law, HRS 92. Specific issues not noted on this agenda cannot be voted on unless added to the agenda. Oral testimony rules, board members must keep comments under 1 minute per turn. Board members may not speak a second time until all other members were given a chance to speak on the first round. At the conclusion of the board comment period, audience will then be given the opportunity to comment. Okay.
May I add? Last meeting, we elected a sergeant of arms and they're gonna be
Yes.
keeping time.
She should be. Yeah. Officially, yes.
Just to make it.
Thank you.
I would like at this time, if possible, if we can vote on movement of silence for those lives that were lost on Maui for the current fire. If that's okay with the board?
Okay with me.
this time, I'd like to also thank our fire department, FEMA, and also all the agencies that are reaching out to help those who are needing help on Maui and the visitors that are also being stranded in this place and being sent here and back home. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Okay, well, if we can move on to our agenda, we need to add Mr. Thompson, yes. So he's from the homeless program,
Well, he's with Joint Base.
with Joint Base, okay.
Pearl River Hickam, and we were asked to present on homeless abatement issues.
Okay, great. So Spencer, you got that?
Sure. So is an update or a presentation like how long?
It's just a short presentation.
Okay.
I can work within 3 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Which
So-
section would we like to add?
Well, we'd like to probably add it to,
For,
Community update.
let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's not old business or new business actually, so yeah, it's been an ongoing.
Okay. So add item number 9F.
6 or 7
One
to
and
add.
6.
Instead of on the military, what if we were to do it as a community concern for B? How
Okay.
about that?
Yeah, sure. Community concerns usually doesn't need to be added to the agenda. It's just
Okay,
whoever can comment.
he's gonna be on the agenda, so.
Okay. Well, you can still add it if you'd like.
Unless we do it under military,
To you folks.
because it's the homeless program with, associated with the military, right? Yeah. Okay, well, why don't we do that then, 9F?
9F. Okay. So do we
Thank
have
you
a
very
motion?
much, Sean. So officially for everyone,
I make a
We're
motion
recording.
to add it to the agenda.
Okay.
yeah,
On 9F.
thank you, it's been moved and seconded to add, or to amend the agenda and add Mr. Thompson for, the homeless program with the military. Okay, so let's move on and continue with it, because we're gonna have a bit of a,
We would just need a vote to make sure everyone is.
okay, all right,
I
All in
can.
favor?
all in favor?
Alright.
Any opposed? No? Okay, unanimous. Okay, well, let's have our public safety reports then. Is the Honolulu Fire Department ready to go?
Ready to go. Everybody hear me?
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Captain Todd Cabral. I'll be reporting on incident statistics for July of this year. As far as fires, there were no structure fires, no brush fires, 1 nuisance fire, no cooking fires, and 1 activated alarm with no fire. Emergencies, we had 69 medical calls, no motor vehicle collisions with pedestrians, 1 motor vehicle crash collision, no mountain rescues, no ocean rescues, and no hazardous materials incidents. Those are statistics for July. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions from the board? Larry?
What's a nuisance fire? Not all fires were a nuisance.
Nuisance fires include rubbish fires outside a structure or vehicle.
Structures or vehicles.
Yeah, some grass or whatever.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Do you know how many, if any, firemen are going over to Maui from here, from Oahu?
I do not.
Just wondering. Thank you.
If there is anybody else from the audience? Any questions? All right, thank you very much for being with us tonight. Sorry we were a little late in starting up, but traffic and trying to get organized here for the virtual meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
I can
thank you. All right, we'll move on to the Honolulu Police Department, District 3, Foster Village.
Is there anybody there?
Guess they're not there.
Oh, District 5. Oops.
Okay, well, let's move on to the Honolulu Police Department, District 5, Salt Lake, Aliamanu.
Spencer, any of the policemen on?
I don't see any HPD representatives.
We can skip on and move on.
Yeah, why don't we just move on, then we'll,
Were they notified of the meeting starting early?
Yeah, that's, when they come, if they come, we can bring them.
I'll let you know if I see them come.
okay, yeah, because you know what, we had changed it, we
From 7.
voted, yeah,
Okay,
from 7 to 6:30.
No
That
problem.
was a very,
I'll
very
just
good point.
raise
Thank
my
you.
hand and let you know.
Right.
Maybe don't.
Okay, moving along then, so, if they do acknowledge that they're here, we'll just, stop and let it be interrupted at that point. Okay, thank you very much. Alrighty, we need to take some board action this evening, and, the first 3A on the agenda is the resignation of Chair Chase Shigemasa. So, Spencer, as our NA, do we have anything in a written resignation?
I did not get anything specifically. I was just informed that he will be no longer, I think he moved out of his,
Yes.
out of the district or whatnot, so yes, he will be resigning, and it looks like he's not here tonight, so.
Chair Kanimano.
Yes,
On July 13th, our last meeting, he made a verbal statement that he was going to resign, so that should suffice for this meeting. His intention was brought up verbally in front of us.
that is true. I believe that
So
that statement
that's
is
acceptable and
acceptable.
pending his formal.
Right, and he said that, at that time too, he already had said that he would be until we would be able to meet again.
Yeah.
And at this point, he's on a flight right now, I believe, so he isn't even able to be on with us virtually. So we'll officially accept, do we need a motion or anything to officially accept?
No.
Just checking. Okay. All right, so, the board officially recognizes the resignation of Chase Shigemasa from chair. So, filling of the vacancy would be our next item, since we do have, one at-large resident, that might be interested in filling, Chase leaving us, so therefore, we do have a position open on the board. Would you like to make a nomination of anyone who might be?
I nominate Patty Gawa, take over the open position on this board. Do I hear
Is there a second? Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that Patty Igawa be nominated to fill the vacancy. Any other nominations? Now, whoever is nominated needs to be here, present. So are we good? Now we need to take a vote then?
I say that we take a vote.
Yes,
I'm just looking at the notes here, Chair,
yes.
verify residency, of course, we all know that she is in the red.
Yeah, so usually,
But I'm just saying, you should say,
Yeah, they'll show
That she's qualified.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
if I could
once
see, I could check her ID and then
yeah,
make sure.
exactly. So I already told her to bring her. So
When you
Patty.
see the IP, their age.
Patty, would you bring your ID?
Larry,
and
right
up to
behind
the
her.
Spencer
I'm
right
sorry.
now, so that we can get you officially, you guys.
Somebody second.
no, seriously.
It's been moved and seconded.
Alright.
Your
If I-
ID, if he can see it.
If I could
It's
just
just
see
to
her,
verify your address.
Okay.
just see her, yeah.
The vote taken.
No, not yet. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Any nays? No, unanimous. So Patty has been elected to fill the vacancy of the at-large that has been opened up.
Yeah.
The resignation of Chase Shigemasa.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm so sorry, usually, with a mic.
Shall we take a break?
HPD just joined too,
Oh,
so
okay.
if you wanna go back to them, you can.
Maybe probably comes in.
Yeah, no worries.
Because 6:56.
Alright, so with everyone's, we'll move back to public safety reports with HPD. I don't know, District 5 or District 3? You have the floor. Spencer, do you have the
Was Spencer gonna hit the button?
floor? Oh, Spencer, you gotta hit the.
Oh, there you go.
Alright, District 5. Thank you for being with us. I'm sorry, we started our meeting at 6:30, so I think the public safety officers were not informed that we were starting the. No, so it's part of it is the communication that it officially, as now, going into the new regime here, that we were starting our meeting. So
We'll
I
make a note of
apologize.
that for next month. Thank you.
Okay, so
Going over the stats for July 2023. Oh, sorry, I'm Lieutenant Hong, Keone Hong from District 5, Kalihi. Going over the stats for July 2023. Burglaries, there was 0 reported compared to 1. Motor vehicle thefts, there were 6 compared to 2. Thefts, there were 10 compared to 6. And car break-ins, there were 2 compared to 3. The total cost per service was $574 in July versus $516 in June. Just a follow-up from last month's meeting. There was a question regarding traversing a closed public park during after hours to use the restroom facility. So we looked it up. I believe that was a COVID restriction rule where when the parks were closed during the day, it was allowed that you could still use the public restroom during the daytime hours, even though the park was closed. The only other thing I found was in the revised ordinance of Honolulu, section 10-1.2, park rules and regulations. Whenever a public beach park is closed, you are able to traverse in the most direct route to reach the shoreline of the beach. So you could enter the park when it's closed as long as it's just to go to the shoreline. But otherwise, hopefully that answers the question. And if there are any other questions for this week, I'm available at this time.
Okay. Board member.
Yeah, I thought that question was more in terms of like Lowell Park, where we close it at 8 p.m. The park is closed at night at 8. We moved it from 10 to 8 a couple years ago. And the question is, I guess because sometimes people seem to be loitering in the park, and it's hard to tell who's loitering, but there are a lot of people that will walk through traverse the park at night to cut to from Ala Ilima. They'll cut to the park to get to Ala Koi, which is further down. It's like a shortcut. And so just wanted to make sure that was okay, and if they use the bathroom too over there. So what about if someone comes in like 11, 12 midnight and they, park their car and go and use the restrooms over there? Is that permissible?
Yeah, so technically, if it's a public park, it's not. But, we can use discretion. If it's somebody not up to no good, just trying to use the restroom or cutting through to get home from the bus stop, it's not something that we're gonna address. Yeah, but oftentimes too, if the public parks do have bathrooms and they do close, sometimes they also close the bathrooms. So that might pose a challenge to that. There's no real reason to be in the park. But yeah, technically it's not allowed, but we can use discretion based on the circumstances.
Okay, next. Larry Beard.
I live in Foster Village, and for a long time now, we've had kids riding golf carts, mini bikes, motorcycles, ATVs, all kinds of different vehicles on the street. I live on Olino Street, and I see them all the time. but I never addressed it until now people are coming to me complaining about it. Evidently, one of the kids who was under 6 years old was riding a motorcycle on Old Needle Street. No helmet, no shoes, shorts, no shirt, and that's the report that started this. So there is a concern with the neighborhood that these kids, one, should not be driving on the street, these vehicles, because of age and because of safety equipment. And I haven't seen a police officer back in our area, the backside of Foster Village, for a long time. So maybe we ought to start looking and checking those kids out. Now that they're back in school, it'll be in the afternoons, not during the day. With them being out of school, it's like all day long. So maybe you can put that on your agenda for them to start looking for these kids in the afternoon.
Okay, and it's always good to call if you see violations like that, safety hazards. It's always good to call 911 because then an officer knows it's going on and can address it. But yes, we will also make checks. That's, you know, public safety. Thanks.
It was answered.
No.
It was answered.
Okay.
Yeah, I have another question. This is the main one I'm in for this meeting. On the corner of Ala Ilima and Ala Lilikoi, that the intersection at Salt Lake Shopping Center by the pet hospital, and it's coming from Salt Lake Boulevard. They turn left to to Lilikoi. They go up. The bus goes up the street, and then it makes the right. Okay, there were signs there that was very confusing, but they corrected it this past last week, I think it was. They finally corrected the sign because there was a no parking, and then it had a thing, no parking Thursday at 9 a.m. to 11, meaning you could park there if it, aside from that hours, yet at the same time, there's a no parking period sign there. So I mentioned that at the last meeting, but I mentioned that more to I think the city council guy, the city guys, and it was corrected. However, my question to you guys now is enforcement, okay? Because I don't see any tickets on there. 3 cars continually parked there all the time, and it's dangerous for the bus drivers because, and also as me as a driver as well, I catch the bus and I drive. I feel kind of worried for the car when the bus it has to make a really wide turn because they use the biggest bus possible, those like the accordion bus. So it has to make that right turn onto Ala Ilima, and those 3 cars are parked there like right at the corner. So the bus has to go way out into the other lane of the other street coming the other direction, and then come back into their lane. And so far there's been no problem. The bus drivers are pretty good, I guess, So they've been able to manage that. But to me, like, it's just inviting trouble. And my question to you guys is, will you folks, when are you folks going to start enforcing that? Maybe you folks don't know about that either yet. And cars should be parked there, and they should be ticketed and towed. Do they need a tow sign there as well for the cars to get towed, or not? Because
do you know how the sign reads now? Does it say no parking from corner to here, or no parking?
It just says right at the corner. There's a sign with a red circle over it, with a sign no parking, period, with a red circle around it, kind of, and it has no parking, and then right at the corner, and then a car start parking, right, and then there's another sign that says no parking as well. They had signs, like I said, they had signs prior where they had like you could park there except Thursdays. But they corrected, the city's corrected that, so now it's no parking period in those 3 cars there, and they're still parked there all the time.
Yeah, so normally, especially when the bus is involved, the buses do not hesitate to call us if there is a, vehicles parked in a area where it has either a bus stop or causes them to have a hard time turning. So if that is the case, I'm sure the bus would call. If it's no parking, but it doesn't say tollway zone on the sign, normally we'll just ticket for no parking because it's 2 separate violations. So if it does say tollway zone, then we can tow it. If it doesn't, if it has just the P with the cross or the line through it, it usually is just a no parking, which still warrants a citation, but not necessarily towing. But yeah, we can check that area. But also, if you do see and you feel the need, you can go ahead and call and report those parking complaints. But like I said too, if the bus has a hard time, the bus drivers, they will call because, of course, they don't want to get into any accidents or whatnot. But yeah, we can check in that area also.
I would like to make a suggestion, you know, when we discuss these things, maybe we should have pictures for them that we could send them to record it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna also bring this up when the city, the mayor says so as well.
Yes, Christine.
So I have a client that brought this up to my issue. It's on the corner of Alaliu and Alalima, where the crosswalk is.
That circle.
Yeah, the circle. So the bus stop that's on Alalima, Mountainside, I guess, yeah, Mountainside, has been moved. But basically, people are believing that because of where the crosswalk is, that they can still park. And this person was still, I would say maybe 5 feet from the crosswalk, but they still got a ticket. Like, what is the rules on that? And then, like, is there a way to mark, because there is a red curb after that, after the crosswalk, of where they cannot park, that they would get a ticket from where the crosswalk is.
You know, off the top of my head, I'm not sure the distance, but I believe it's 30 feet from that curbed intersection, if that's what you're talking about. So from that curbed intersection, if there's no signs available, like the no parking we discussed earlier, you gotta park beyond 30 feet from that curbed intersection. So if you were within the 30 feet, there might be a violation which would cause the citation. Is that helpful?
There's no breakage, it's basically straight. Because it's NIOI that has the breakage. So on the mountainside of Alalima, where the crosswalk is, that's where the problem is right now.
Okay, so I think if it's near the crosswalk too, I'm not sure the distance, but it might be 30 feet as well from a mid-street crosswalk, I guess that would be considered. So if you're too close to the crosswalk, then that would be that parking violation that was probably addressed. So would that make more sense for that situation?
Yeah.
Okay.
They can always help. They can always help, please.
Right. You know, at this point, maybe some of these are DOT related, so we might want to talk to the city rep to
correct.
correct.
To keep the red line.
Okay. Thank you very much, officer or lieutenant.
Thank you.
Are we okay then?
I think the other HP officer is
Oh, it's
on.
on too? Okay. So for District 3,
Chase. Go ahead,
So,
Chase.
Sergeant, sorry, my apologies. I was on a case in the field, so I'm kind of doing this from my car. If my computer goes out, a kind of bad signal. But Chase Inamine, Sergeant, Pro City Station, and our stats for beat 384, Foster Village. We had 1 motor vehicle theft, 2 burglaries, 3 thefts, and 2 UMVs or motor vehicle break-ins. Are there any questions for me today?
any questions from the board?
That's your district.
That's your district, you should ask the question you asked.
About the kids on the motorcycle.
Oh.
That's his,
Backwards.
he's the district.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right,
This is-
okay,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I got screwed up. Sorry. I live in Foster Village, and
Yes.
when the kids have been now on vacation all day long, there's a group of kids that have been, young kids, I'm talking 5 to 12 years old, are riding mopeds, motorcycles, ATVs, golf carts with no safety equipment. First off, they shouldn't be on the street driving at that age. Second, there's been some of the vehicles have been unlicensed. I'd like to see a patrol come along on the back side of Foster Village. I haven't seen them on the front, and the report I got was from Molino Street.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll pass it on matrix. Any golf cart, no any street non-street legal dirt bike, things like that are not allowed on public streets. If you do see them doing that, call 911 and we'll try and address it as soon as we can. And of course, juveniles on mopeds as well.
Thank you, Sergeant Inami. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Okay, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Have a good night.
Stay safe. Okay, then shall we get back to where we were on our agenda? So, item 3C is the election of chairperson. At this time, I'd like to open up the nominations for chair.
That's why Nicole never showed up.
Actually,
So
she,
she comes later.
no, but actually I just got a text from Nicole, and she is actually, they're working on relief efforts for Maui.
So she's not
So, yeah, throughout the night, they're working through the night, and so she will be unable to join us for this evening.
I would like to nominate Lorraine Godfrey.
What? It's my second meeting, David.
It's okay, you're comfortable in the role.
I would rather have Nicole do it. She's familiar with all the action.
She needs to be.
She needs to be here when we start, and she always comes
She always comes late.
like hour late or half
Okay,
hour,
well.
hour.
Let's not go.
Okay.
Okay, so nomination, second,
You accept her out. You can say no.
I'm gonna say no.
Okay, that's fine.
any other nominations?
Go with David Jones.
David has been nominated.
You accept?
Good.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that David Jones be our chair. Shall we vote, please? All say yes,
I.
Aye. Unanimous vote. You can vote now too. Although you haven't been officially, you swear it in, okay. Yeah, so Patty officially is on board, so she's been sworn in. Okay, all right, so unanimous vote. Congratulations, Chair Jones. So I will give the floor and the gavel and officially to you. Okay, I can be secretary again.
Spencer, have you sworn in a new board member?
Pat, Ms. Pat?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did?
Yeah.
Alright, moving along, resolution advocating for the maintenance of the Salt Lake waterway. Chandra, you
Okay,
wanna chime in and
yes.
give us a breakdown of what you plan?
Yes, at the previous meeting in June, I had passed out I know it was a very last minute, and I had passed out, and so officially, former chair Shigemasa had put it on our August agenda to be discussed. So I would like to address what was discussed. It was voted down, that resolution was voted down, and I understand with reservations. So therefore, I'd like to resubmit a revised resolution, which should have been distributed by Chase to all.
I got it by email.
Yeah.
This is this.
There been some,
I didn't get it.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
get it. This is the old one.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it's
it's a new one,
removing
the revised.
the tit for tat part, yeah. It's just recognizing and welcome. If I may also just report that, Honolulu Country Club is the new owner as of, August 2022. And it's been a year now, and it's taken them quite a while to get the waterway, Salt Lake waterway, which is on their property. And so therefore, following the city ordinance, which is Bill 43, it was passed by Joey Manahan's office while he was in office. And this ordinance from 2017 has been in effect, but has not been followed or obliged to by the Paboon Country Club. So therefore, that's open. So the Country Club Village Association, which is on the perimeter of the golf club, has been advocating to the board that what we would like to do is to just stand united and advocate for the maintenance of the Salt Lake Waterway, as it is considered and identified by the State of Hawaii Land Use Agency that the parcel is an outdoor recreation but classified as a restricted preservation conservation district. And so therefore, it is their responsibility to be abiding by the city ordinance of the waterway. So, unfortunately, I guess it was not distributed properly to everyone.
Just came in.
But as a discussion on that, it's just to support so since everyone does not have a copy and
how many of you didn't receive the copy that we're talking about?
He said it just came in the last hour.
No, but I'm looking right in my emails and I see nothing.
Okay,
I see it, it just came in like
Yeah, but not all of us have it.
6:56.
Chandra, we can have a discussion, but as far as the vote to approve the resolution, I'm gonna put it in the next agenda.
Yes.
When everybody can read it.
I appreciate that. And you know what, I will bring copies. It's just that my printer was also late.
Mr. Beard.
You made a comment when you first started that the Country Club Village now owns the waterway?
No. Honolulu Country Club.
Honolulu.
Yeah, Honolulu Country Club, which is, and Country Club Village is the condominium association that lives on the perimeter of, sorry about that. But Honolulu Country Club is the golf course, and it is on their property. And so we share the waterway in that we don't officially have the country club and all the condominiums that are on the perimeter of the waterway does not have permission because it is private property. So we can discuss this at our next meeting, if we may, Chair.
Well, Madam Chair, if you could go back and when we discuss it next month's meeting, some things to consider that I researched the Salt Lake Waterway from 1963, I believe. And the state actually owned the waterway at first. And before the state, the federal government owned the waterway. And then it was, the country club came into play, but still the government owns half of that waterway. And the pollution of that waterway concerns me back in the early days because the military, the U.S. Army passed out that sign. That concerns me is right at the waterway. So I want to do a little bit more research and maybe work with you, Chandra, to get this where we might include city, state, and federal, along with the country club. They all share an interest in this. And you should put it out there that they all should get together. You know what I mean? This has been going on for over 10 years or longer. When I was I've been on the board a while. But we need to get all the players involved, not just go after the country club. Because I went and looked at the pegs. There's pegs in the waterway. So bulk of the pegs belongs to the city and the brush on the top. The high of the waterway belongs to the country club with its new owner. I don't know her name, but anyway. And what plays into this pollution, which is the smell, and I know about the smell, everybody else knows about the smell, and people live around there have to deal with the smell. We need to find out who all the players are, why the military army put up this sign, what kind of contamination was in the waterway for them to put up this sign. That is my question. I'm kind of going to stare. I want an answer from the U.S. Army. Why this sign was posted next to the waterway, right alongside the waterway, the Salt Lake Waterway. Also, what play, the state of Hawaii, I know they turned it over to the city, but what did they play in this, all of this? Because you gotta go back a few years and you can't just let the government pass on this and just go on a country club. The country club most definitely is involved in this because they own some of the property, but we need to get all players on this resolution and I'll work with you to get the wording and stuff and we can push it out at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Barrett.
I think that's a good idea because Honolulu Country Club may feel like they're the only people involved and they're getting scrutinized too much. If you guys contact them, maybe they'll feel like, hey, yeah, we're part of the process. We're not we're not the bad guys here, and they're trying to help us too. So I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Okay. Just a comment, on July 25th, the Country Club Village management did meet with Honolulu Country Club. They set up an official meeting, and it was just kind of meet and greet, and we wanted to hear what their issues were, how we could help them, and vice versa, because we need to get we meaning the Country Club Village, to get an agreement with them, which was established with the previous owner, permission to enter onto their property to work on the cleaning of the waterways. So they did bring up that the top of where the waterway comes down from is federal property. So that was brought up. So we need to do more research, and I agree with what Chair David is saying. Yes, we will work on this.
And Madam Secretary, maybe we could make a appeal where we can meet with the country club and ask this also when we get to our next meeting.
Yes.
If you wanna pick up, we go in, we pick one more person, and three of us can meet with the country club and discuss this before the next meeting.
Excellent.
So we got our ducks in order.
Yes, okay, will do.
Anybody on this board wishes to participate in this pay?
I will volunteer.
Anybody wanna volunteer to go to the country club and,
I probably can't, I work.
just like it's gonna be me and you then? Okay?
Alright.
Okay, moving on to, report of any events or concerns within the community. Wait, hold on. You have something?
I didn't, I tried getting in touch with,
Can you state your name, sir, and
so, John Goto from Radford High School.
Yeah.
Presented to you guys every year except before COVID. So I wasn't sure, I even went to the other place, because on the website it shows the church play at 7. So I'm trying to get in, well, it used to be the veterans, right? We'd go across.
Yeah.
Our kids used to
First
film me
aid,
guys, yeah.
exactly, yeah.
But is this the time? I tried really hard to contact him, I left messages, everything,
So John, on behalf of your school, you have an announcement to make?
and yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the first one, because so every year we try to have a homecoming parade, and I have the date, but the city makes sure we go through you guys, we should go through Johansson, Center Wakai, and announce that we put the banner on the marquee to the date, so that all the residents know what time to get home before. So I have the date, it is, September 21st at 4 p.m. and it's only half an hour. So we stop the traffic for half an hour and go into Foster Village, come right back up.
And what is the route?
It's past the Veterans Center, fully, it's literally,
Just a back and forth.
yeah, it's so small. The football team, last year, and then because of COVID, and then last year we didn't have a band teacher, so wasn't gonna have the football players or the band, so we canceled it. Kind of hard.
Anything else, John?
Oh, yeah.
I have something I would like to suggest to the board.
Hold on. John, you have anything else?
Yeah. Also, we just, because of Maui thing, Radford, so every school seems to be doing something, but Alima is doing their own thing, intermediate. But Radford's gonna have donations, so we coordinated with all the advisors today, principal, and then we're gonna have donations if you guys can get it out to, we'll put it on our marquee on, I'm so sorry. On Monday and Tuesday at the school, the 14th and 15th from 7:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And it's just in the front of the school, they can
And
just.
John, you
donate.
put it on the billboard, the school billboard in
Yeah.
front of the campus.
And then we're sending out to every grade level, PTSA, student council, we're all sending out, it's gonna be on our school website. And then the League of Honors doing their own thing. It was kind of neat today, brainstorming with all the kids and advisors, they wanna help, but it's a step in the direction.
You have a question?
Not a question, I have a suggestion, since now our board has, funds. So, I know some boards, when there's like parades, they would participate, like walk with the parade. I know that Radford, Moana is gonna have their homecoming parade, and have a Christmas parade, for Salt Lake and Lima, and, you know, is there be a possibility you might be able to get some board members and say, hey, let's go walk the small parade route? I mean, Moana Loa is a small parade route. Just a suggestion, because I've seen other boards do it.
Do you know when the Moana parade is? Is it Christmas time or?
Well, they have, well, Moana Loa has their Christmas parade, but I know Moana Loa also have their homecoming parade, but I don't know when their homecoming is.
I can find out and let you know. They have the guy who does my job just retired the other year, Mr. Pang. But there's a younger teacher that, I can find out when theirs is, and let you guys know.
I know Moana Loa, I think it starts from Salt Lake Shopping Center, it comes down the King Street, because I live on the King Street, it goes to the high school.
Okay, well, maybe you can get back to us then, John?
So I just need a contact number, because I actually had yours for a long time when we walked the dog, your husband, and Mr. David, but if there's a current one, I just felt weird that I kept calling and I was thinking, oh, I don't get up. And then, you know why, because I was calling Chase all this.
Yeah, and Chase.
I didn't know.
Chase,
So I finally managed to
unfortunately,
talk to the
he's
city
fine.
guys,
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
said he
he's
stepped down.
moving out of the district. And our neighborhood assistant has changed also ever since, you know.
I'm gonna leave my information with you guys and then
Would
somebody
you
just
then?
email me.
John, you give me your information, I'll give you a call, and then we have my number.
Yeah,
And we
I
can
had it
communicate.
before. I used to call you in person and I appreciate you guys all.
And also at our September meeting, I'll make an announcement about your parade.
Thank you so much.
Can
But we'll
can
do.
we be in a parade?
Yeah, if you got, I get you a golf cart myself. No, it's cute. It's, because actually all the kids now is all, I taught their parents, so it's like, and actually it's cute. But it's still one of the few innocent things we have, that, and then right after we're gonna have the bonfire. And I can go through the city.
So you can use this at the parade.
We could also put it out here when we
Yeah,
have
I
a
know.
meeting.
Yeah, that too.
What about our t-shirts that were supposed to come by?
Yep, so once I get, I'm not sure who all submitted the contact forms, but there's a shirt size on the bottom.
Yeah,
So once we collect all those, we'll put all the.
John, you have anything else?
Oh, no, so I'll leave my contact information.
Oh, Larry has a question for you.
John, you're vice principal or principal?
I'm the student activities coordinator.
Okay,
I'm the oldest, almost the oldest person there.
all right. I have, a long time ago, this came up, and I'm talking a long time ago. And now it's becoming a problem again. And that's all the traffic when the kids get out of school, as far as parking on Salt Lake Boulevard.
That's
I want to know is why the gate between the elementary school and the high school isn't open so that the flow of traffic can be better. What was the hangup? Was it security? Was it timing? If you
The
could.
parents would cut through, so I know that one too.
Okay,
So it was COVID, but even before, even now, when I always gotta get to the school before, back from my meetings, before 2, because it goes out all the way to the gas station, right?
Oh, yeah.
They won't open the big, because the parents, not saying all parents, but some parents are dating, because our kids are coming out after the elementary school kids.
okay.
And our buses gotta come in too, right? So
Okay.
the special need kids and other things, so there was too many when they crossing over and then they rush. It was easier to close it and they only let the kids walk through, because the kids who catch the bus on the elementary, they put the buses on our side. They don't go on the Mapalapa side. So that's why they close the gate to
Are
let
you
the
talking about
kids.
buses for the elementary school or
Yes.
for the high school?
The high school will come after they do the elementary school runs.
All right, so they.
So our kids just hang out there, but the elementary school kids will feed slowly through the gate,
Okay,
and the buses are lined up for them to go home.
okay,
It's the elementary side that's backed up,
right,
yeah.
right.
But that's the reason why they don't open the gate, or else parents will come through, but the kids are still walking. It's a real mess, but it's always a safety thing. Because you're trying to tell, even our side, our student parking lot to pick up the high school kids, we're telling them, slow down. And
Well, my background is in security and traffic control. There is a need to have another suggestion brought to the table or another idea brought to the table that can maybe not solve it, but reduce it. I don't think you're ever gonna solve it because of the way the parking lots are set up.
Yeah.
But I would like to work with both schools to figure out a better way to control that situation that you're talking about. Maybe we come up,
So-
I have barriers, I have cones, my security company is no longer in business. I have all kinds of stuff that I can bring to the table.
the problem is, so even our student parking lot, we tell them only to turn right on Bougainville, because when they turn left, that's when the accident. But we cannot put a security out there because once they got hurt, it's not a school property.
Right.
So the insurance and things, so they're not allowed to go outside. So same with ours. So the one that the girl who died, that was our custodian's daughter, one of the twin daughters. But you see this Justice for Sarah, that's his daughter. But because similar, but we're just not as crowded, but it's similar where if everybody was conscientious about your kids or grandkids, but it gets pretty brutal. Because they all want to make the light, right?
Well, that's the problem too, is the light controls are kind of screwed up.
So you cannot put our personnel or state people on there. And it's expensive to hire somebody. Right.
What if we got a volunteer?
But then something happens, the insurance again. So some schools have the sign guy, like me, who's gonna retire and you do it, but the insurance, because they have it at McKinley, they have these organizations that volunteer now.
Okay, second round of questions, Christina.
I actually have a suggestion. I brought this up at our meeting before, talking about traffic to do with Radford and Makalapa Elementary. If you look at how Farrington High School, sorry, I know it's not in our district, but if you're going down King Street, heading towards Ala Moana, they have a sign that says no left-hand turn into their parking lot. And it says the hours. I'm just wondering, why do you guys not have something similar where you cannot make a left-hand turn from Salt Lake Boulevard into Radfield or into Makalapa? That would solve the traffic issue, because then that means everybody's gonna be coming from
From
stadium
one
side.
direction, yeah.
Because that solved the problem with Farrington. When they used to get back track on King Street, and people were making that left-hand turn in the morning.
Yes, thank you. The suggestion is great, however, I do believe it becomes a city issue. As far as Department of Transportation would have to take a look at it. Because same thing with Moanalo High School, we removed the crosswalk.
They're brutal, yeah, because I
Yeah,
never
that's
get
another
student
brutal one.
every time I'll never come home at that
Yes,
time, even if I live
that was brutal, yeah.
The
So,
kids never live up.
It's very understandable about, that situation, especially now if you're talking about elementary school children as well, right, in that same area. So I'm not, visually prepared right now to imagine what it looks like. However, this would be an issue, I do believe, Chair, that we should address with our city representative.
The
And
school
that
should address it.
Well, the school can only do so much too, though, but I do believe that if we get the city Department of Transportation
That's what I
involved-
mean, that's who they should talk to.
Yeah.
It's like a double barrel shotgun. If
Yeah.
the school can do that part, we'll bring it up with the city. John, thank you for coming out,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
And
Thank you guys for your volunteer.
again, in
Good to see
September's
good
meeting,
faces.
we'll bring up the parade at September's
Okay,
meeting.
Yes.
and then I'm gonna just leave my contact so you can call.
Excellent,
Thank you, sir.
okay.
Okay, moving along, community events and concerns, any more events and concerns for your constituents?
Actually, this is supposed to have been in this meeting as well, but nobody wrote it into the minutes. Remember, I passed out my paper last week for the resolution, and I said, we're gonna discuss and then vote for this next week. Next
Mr.
meeting.
Morris, is it not on the, you mind if we put it,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask
be first on the agenda next meeting?
to make sure that it is on the agenda at the next meeting. If it's not, I'm very upset.
Any other concerns? Mr. Baird?
June's meeting, I tried to get the pig back in for the intersection there by Salt Lake Shopping Center where the lady got killed. And I was told next meeting, and now the next meeting. Now that we have a new chair, I'd like to put it on the agenda to develop the pig for that intersection against, and try to put pressure on the city and county to get the information they're supposed to have sent us like 6 months ago. So it's put that on the agenda for the next meeting with that.
Okay, Larry, got it. You have the agenda. Any other concerns for the board or in the audience? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, can you take the gavel? I got one concern I want to bring up at this time. I have the floor. Thank you. This is the flooding that's occurring in Mapunapuna, basically in the area of Ahua Street and Kilihau Street, in the area of 645 Ahua Street. It's been going on for over 20 years. There's always the water flooding the roads and the sidewalks and creating a hazard. This goes on at least once a week. It goes on every day, but once a week, when it's high tide, that whole street on Ahua and Kilihau is covered with water, along with the sidewalks. So in May, I brought this up, and I also complained about, I was walking there, the border water supply plate was corroded because of the water and needed to be replaced. When I stepped on it, it just fell in, caved in. And also, there are some issues with the sidewalk in that area. So in June, they took care of the border water supply, put a new plate on, and the proprietor in front of the driveway area patched out the driveway, so it was okay. But my concern, I found out later on that the city went out and issued 2 violations from property proprietor, small business owners, and they ordered them and gave them a 30-day notice to fix the sidewalk. When in fact, this sidewalk has been damaged not by the property owners in that area on Ahua and Kilihau. It's been damaged by the state of Hawaii Moana stream. They're not fixing the stream and clearing that bed area, and also the city for not cleaning the gutters and stuff, and so it overflows. And it's been a problem for over 20 years. So the reason I brought this up, I'm concerned that now they're picking on the small person in small business, 2 of them, and the city needs to look at this and take responsibility with the state. If they cannot fix the problem, which has been going on for over 20 years, I used to work in the Mapunapuna area, I know the situation. It's always been ongoing like this, and I submitted photos to all of you that shows the overflow of the sidewalks and the road just covering with water. So that causes the sidewalk to break, and also other areas like the city's plates gets corroded and stuff. So for the city to send out violations to these 2 property owners, I don't think they even own it, I think they lease out the property, and to fix the sidewalk area, which is a city property, that's the driveway and the sidewalk, which sits on city property. They need to take a look at this again and come out to a solution where, because if you fix that sidewalk and stuff, I asked some friends, it costs about $30,000 or more to fix that driveway area, sidewalk area in front of every single property. And I drove around Mapunapuna, I think it was like 30-something driveways and sidewalks were more damaged than actually the ones that we're complaining about by where the water problem is in that flood zone. So the city needs to take a look at it and try to resolve this flooding, and also take into consideration what I just discussed, and talk to these 2 business owners and take back that citation, because that violation, because they're not really in violation, the city and state is in violation for not fixing what they needed to fix. I don't know, we discussed this in how many meetings, and they come up and they say, well, it's getting better, we're doing it, but I want to put this on the agenda sometime soon, so the city and state hopefully can come in and tell us what the problem is, how it's backing up in Moanaloa Stream, and how it's backing up in the gutters. We need to solve this because it's been an issue for a long, long time. Larry, I take the chair back, I take the gavel back. Larry, you got the floor.
I agree with what you put into your report. I agree about what's going on with the water. I think this goes way back. Before Mapunapuna was ever developed, whoever from the city, county, or the state came in here and told these people that they could build on this property when they knew that this roadway is below the water line, the water table. This is a disgrace to our city, county, our state, that this should happen, and they blame anybody other than themselves. This is not these companies' problem. It is the state and the city and county. Whoever gave them the permission to build this like this never thought about the height of the tides. And for this water, I know many years ago, we worked on they had a control valve that would not let the stream water come back up the drainage water troughs. Therefore, this wouldn't happen. And I know about 4 or 5 years ago, they went and they said, oh, they got stuck open. They wouldn't close. So the water would just flow either direction. I think that's the same thing that we're looking at now, and I don't think they want to put the money in to go look at it and figure out and give it a proper fix. Therefore, this water situation is going to happen until the city, county, or state does something about it. It's obvious this is way lower than the water table or the tide table in Mapunapuna.
Hey, Chandra, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Chair, this seems to be related to our Honolulu Country Club also because it's all the same waterway, it's all connected. It's just location right now. So I do believe that the problem with the Salt Lake waterway is that it does stem from the Moanaloa Stream, which is being or not being maintained properly. So it drains down and all the silt comes down from Moanaloa Stream and it accumulates in the lowest point, which is what Larry just said, that it just so happens that the Honolulu Country Club's property is the lowest point of Moanaloa Street, and so that's why the silt is building up in the Salt Lake waterway. So I do believe that it goes, like you said, further up the line to city and state and federal.
Mr. Moore, you had a question?
No, it's okay, I would vote comment.
What was that again?
I'll vote comment. I was gonna ask, are we gonna vote on this today or?
No. Oh, no, it's just for information for the city to look at. It's already discussed many, many years. So.
Also, I was gonna ask you, is it possible maybe if the city can send somebody from the DOT or someone that works in that situation where they can come down here maybe and discuss that?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, that I want the state and city to come here and tell us what's going on in this situation and how we're gonna resolve this. So it's been, like I said, over 20 years. So. Anyway, any other? Spencer, can you add? I gave you a copy of, sent it to the city and the photos shows the overflow, and it covers the sidewalk, and covers the roadway, and people on Monday, this past Monday, that was August 7th, they have to turn around, they couldn't drive through, they went back the other way. They couldn't get straight on the Hua to get onto the Nimitz and Camp Highway. So I kind of want the city to look at this and not just pick on these two small business vendors or whatever owners. Like I said, I don't know if they own the property or not, I don't think so. But the city sent out violations, and I wanted to see if they can further investigate and how we're going to resolve this water issue, even though it's been going on for years.
Yeah, we'll take that comment back. We understand the concern. I'm gonna see who we can talk to between our various departments, and see how we can get the state involved if if it seems appropriate. Yeah, we'll try to put something together for you guys and come up with a complete response.
So do you have a report or is okay, something next season next year?
Well,
Oh, Board of Supervisors.
Yeah, we are a community concern regarding the homeless. You wanna step up to, or you wanna sit there, or can we all hear you from there?
Why don't we have you, yeah?
Or you wanna get into the hot seat?
Which one's hot?
The great one is right in the center.
We can pull up a chair right there, maybe easier.
Yeah, you can pull this chair over there.
Okay. I do have a couple of visual aids, so I will be, like I said, be pretty quick. I'll aim for those out there virtually. So what this represents is Joint Base Pearl Harbor, Hickam, and the Navy. We've identified 13 right now. This is always it's constantly under surveillance, but we have 13 areas of known homeless issues. Some of them are kind of addressed, and we're just kind of keeping a pulse on them, including within this neighborhood board along Bougainville, where Chairman Jones assisted with the cleanup. That is just so you kind of get the feel. If you didn't see it, this is what it looked like before. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And thank you for fixing the fence as well. We got that done.
So I would love to take credit for it, but that was city and county came out and fixed it because as a highway, it's the highway fence. We did work with them to get that taken care of.
Did the state fix it or the city and county? Maybe state,
That's
that's
probably
state
state.
property, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do most of the coordinating resources for addressing the homeless issues on the installation. So that includes interacting with different advocacy groups. So in this case, I worked with US Vets to make contact and provide services before, and then we had both HPD and our on-base security make contact with the individuals that were out there.
Mr. Thompson, before you go any further, would you give us your contact information too, that we can work more closely with you?
I did add it
Oh, you left it there.
to there. I will update my phone number so that you have my work phone.
Okay, then we have it there.
We'll grab it. Thank you.
But yeah.
Yeah, we'll grab it.
And so, like I said, we had 13 areas. We worked along Bougainville first. Was probably the quickest, easiest one because it was one or two individuals. We've also just completed a $260,000 cleanup project along the bike path that's on Pearl City Peninsula. And that's a little bit outside this board's purview, but just to give you perspective. And then we've worked with Hunt, which runs Ohana Communities, which is a private partner venture that runs housing for the Navy. And they have been doing, I think they've been doing a much better job monitoring individuals and reporting it to HPD when they see them. And then they also paid to have the area cleaned up. I honestly haven't gone back to look to see how well, so if this board has feedback, I'm happy to hear that and get back to them. But I do have a couple of before and after pictures of this is Salt Lake, Arizona area.
Now, since you're on that, has anybody brought up going up there and cutting down, is that Halbush?
Yes.
Trees? Cut them all down, all the way up to the fence, so that they can't hide behind it or in it?
So we have broached that with Hunt. and asked them to assess. They did get a quote. It was outside of what they felt like they could afford. I have tried talking to them about using volunteers. Can I throw you under the spotlight again? Chairman Youngs offered to help organize a community event. They have not taken me up on that offer, but I will continue to engage.
First of all, I want to thank, this is Hunt, that cleared the fence line along Camp Highway, did a good job cutting down all the brush so you can see inside along the fence line towards the golf course and further down. As far as Arizona and Salt Lake Boulevard, did a good job cleaning up, but my thing is I need to ask them, or you can relay the message, what's going to happen in the long term. Right now they have a yellow crime scene tape. A couple people went up there, they put the tape down and went up there in the evening time. Wasn't the two persons that they trespassed, Philip and Mike, I won't mention their names, but it was new people went up there, they pulled up in a moped, went up there, and came back down later in the evening. But the tape is now down. But my concern was, or my question was, what's going to happen in the long term? Are we going to, they're going to remove that yellow tape, of course, so nobody thinks there's a homicide or a crime scene up there. And if they're going to, I know money is tight, if they're going to put a fence up, or they're going to cut down the brush. And I'm not asking to cut down a lot of brush, maybe 20 to 25 feet into that area. Not all the way down either, all the way up to the bicycle sign, so people can see them actually going up there. So you get room to see people, because in the winter time everything's going to grow back, and they can hide up there and nobody's going to see them. So that's what I kind of want to address with Holly. They can call me or we can discuss it before the next meeting. If they want to have a meeting, I'm glad to meet with them and give my concerns to them and what we're going to do in the long term. Or you're just going to come up, we're going to do the same thing, clean it up, and and have these guys trespass again. Most of the people that was up there, they're on the Pullmore roadside. They're up in the brush there. Some are along Camp Highway, which is fine. We'll deal with that at a later date. But I just wanted to secure that hill so they don't go up there. And if they can't afford the fence or some kind of barrier, then we need to talk about cutting it down a little bit. And I'm willing to get a volunteer committee to do that. So, but they would have to take the rubbish away because I don't have any big trucks, so they have to remove that. But it's a discussion we can have. So whoever's in charge, they want to meet with me, and I'm available, and we can take care of that.
Yes, sir. I will connect.
When you're saying volunteers, I think this would be a perfect place for us to get the Army involved, because one, they have manpower, two, they have trucks, and city and county's got a place we can dump it all. And if we coordinate that, I think we can get that spot cleared out pretty quick.
Yeah, it's not gonna be, it looks like it's much, but all we're looking at maybe 20 to 25 feet up on the hill, on the bicycle sign on Arizona, come around the curve on Salt Lake Boulevard, just so people can see people going up there and they call 911 and have the police address them because there's the trespassing signs now.
Right.
That might be the cheapest way to go instead of putting up a fence.
I would agree. I will pass it on to them.
Judge?
October 28th is going to be Make a Difference Day. It's a national, kind of event that happens throughout. And even our Country Club Village, which I'm in charge of the Good Neighbor program there, what we're doing is cleaning up the waterway was what our intention was. However, this might be a project that we might want to also take on as something that if we can target from now to October, it might be something that we can all work together. If you, from the military side, if you can get some manpower and trucks, like how Board Member Baird had mentioned too, from the military side, I think we can get some volunteers to work together on this project. Because I think that's what it's going to take. It's going to take the community to back up. So let's target for October 28th of Make a Difference Day, okay?
I will. I already have.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So in transparency, I'll pass it all along. We've run into some issues that, because of the contract, they have a lease for the land, and we as the military can't force them to. We can highly encourage, which is what we've been doing to get them to clean this up.
Yeah, the security did a good job. They did what the eyes and ears of the police. When they saw the two individuals up on the hill, they called the police and trespass warnings were issued, and at least they got that document on the last two that was up on the hill. But then they said somebody on a moped, two of them went up there, and they're gonna do this nighttime to in the dark and do their thing. But see if we can work on that. Christina, you have a question?
I actually have a suggestion. I know they're trying to keep the costs down. I have a suggestion, maybe try to get a hold of Job Corps. They have a landscaping program. And maybe their students be willing to come out, as long as you guys supply the supplies to break it down in the rubbish and whatever.
Right.
They'll offer free manpower with maybe a letter of recognition for their service.
Yeah, I know it's a liability issue, that's why we're gonna talk with Hunt and everybody else involved, if we're gonna bring in volunteers, so we're gonna discuss that a little bit. Thank you for coming out. Do you have anything else you wanted to add?
I think that covered my main points. Thank you very much for having me tonight. Appreciate the opportunity to tell you what we're doing.
I like that before and after.
Yeah.
I have it on my phone already. Before and
I
after.
failed to get the after of this. It still looks good though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have that too, the before and after that one.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out, appreciate it. Okay, moving on to presentation, bottled water supply, update on the wells in Red Hill. We did a Spencer meeting.
Do we have a water supply guy person?
Yes, I'm here.
There you go.
There she is.
Hello. Hi, good evening. My name is Joyce. I'm an engineer with the Honolulu Board of Water Supply, working on Red Hill related projects.
I'm sorry, could you speak a
We can
little
barely
louder?
hear
We
you.
cannot hear you. Thank you.
Is this a little better? Is the volume a little bit better over here?
Yes.
Okay, I'll hold on to my mic. Yes, so past chair, Mr. Chase Shigemasa reached out to our communication office with a few questions regarding updates on the photo water supplies exploratory wells. So I'm here today to provide a quick update. But before I start, I just want to acknowledge that from Board of Water Supply, we also have our deputy manager, Mr. Erwin Kawata, with us tonight. There we go. Yep. Okay, so responding to Mr. Shigemasa's inquiries about updates on our exploratory wells, the Board of Water Supply has an exploratory well project at our IAF 497 reservoir site that is under construction right now.
We can't hear you very well, and could you speak a little slower also?
Okay, let me try and adjust my microphone. Is this a little bit better?
Yeah, a little.
Okay. So let me just restart. So the Board of Water Supply has an exploratory well project at our IAF 497 reservoir site that is under construction right now. We also have an exploratory well project at our Newtown 550 reservoir site, currently going through the bidding process. We are continuing to look for potential exploratory well sites, additional potential sites. Next, Mr. Shigemasa also asked why the exploratory wells are being built in close proximity to Red Hill areas. They are not. It's important to note that we are building the exploratory wells further inland and Malpa of the Red Hill facility, and it's away from the potential contaminants. And lastly, any new information to share on the Board of Waters Halaba Shaft. As of right now, the Board of Waters Halaba Shaft will remain shut down until we have more data to support that it is safe to turn it back on. These data may include, but not limited to, any necessary information that can characterize the contamination, below the ground in the subsurface area. This concludes my update. Any questions?
Any questions from the board?
No.
Any questions from the audience? Thank you for coming out, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on to the city mayor's rep.
Good evening. My name is Brian Gallagher. I am the Deputy Director of the city's Department of Design and Construction. So starting off, the city would like to announce that we've recently hired additional security to improve public safety in Waikiki and along Kuhio Beach. Combined with the continued success of the Safe and Sound program, these efforts are creating a safer, friendlier, and more secure Waikiki for visitors and locals. The city would also like to announce new hires in Mayor Blandiari's cabinet and leadership team. Jean Albano will join the Department of Facilities Maintenance, and Dita Holyfield join the Department of Enterprise Services, both as director designates until council confirmation. Jean's an accomplished electrical engineer with over 30 years of private sector experience. And Dita has spent the last 9 years as a general manager of local radio stations owned and operated by Salem Media Group, in addition to her duties as a regular DJ on Country 97.5. She's also, since 1997, managed her own successful live events business, which include the All-American Rodeo, which is the state's largest rodeo show. The city is also pleased to announce that the new rail line has seen over 170,000 riders in its first month of operations. With students heading back to school, we're hoping residents will have more reasons than ever to try and out the new rail line, or what we'd like to call the Skyline. Affordable housing updates. So on July 17th, Governor Josh Green signed an emergency proclamation to combat the escalating affordable housing crisis in Hawaii. So there's now a collaborative effort by the state and all 4 counties to seek a streamlined regulatory process for the development of 50,000 housing units throughout the state over the next 5 years. Representatives from Mayor's Office and the Department of Planning and Permitting will work with the state's Build Beyond Barriers Working Group to fast track affordable housing projects and speed up construction of new housing units. So keeping our neighbors safely housed. As housing costs increase, some of our neighbors are struggling more than ever to pay their rent and utility bills. To reach these households, 8 community events for the rental and utility relief program were held this summer along with the program partners. These events were part of the program's temporary reopening for this summer and was funded with $25 million in state and local fiscal recovery funds, federal funding. So more than 600 Oahu families applied for short-term rent and utility help at these events, and the program has helped more than 18,000 Oahu families stay safely housed during and after the pandemic. See that the city's Department of Budget and Fiscal Services wants to let homeowners know about the real property tax credit program and the action that the city council took to increase the income limit for this program from $60,000 a year to $80,000 a year. This $20,000 increase allows a larger number of homeowners to apply for this credit. The tax credit applications are now available online. I'll post the, there's a website, I'll post it in the chat for everyone. So yeah, so applications are available online and at satellite city halls. Please note that the application deadline is October 2nd, 2023. Applicants who filed last year were mailed their applications on July 14th, 2023. And if you qualify for this credit, it will be applied to your property tax bill that you'll receive in July of 2024. So for more information or assistance, please contact the Real Property Tax Relief Office at 808-768-3205, or you can email taxrelief@honolulu.gov. I'll also, I'll put all that in the chat for everybody. Bill 40, recently signed into law by Mayor Blangiardi, increases the home exemption amount for owners under the age of 65 from $100,000 to $120,000, and for owners 65 years of age and older from $140,000 to $160,000. For people filing for the home exemption should provide verification of age, such as a copy of a driver's license or birth certificate. This exemption will take effect on July 1st, 2024, and will continue for each tax year unless there is a change in affecting eligibility. You can please visit our realpropertyhonolulu.com to obtain info and file a home exemption claim online or to download a claim form. Claim forms can be hand-delivered or mailed. So for proof of filing, please mail the claim form via certified or registered mail and enclose a self-stamped and self-addressed envelope to obtain a receipt. I'll provide more information on that in the chat as well, just in case anybody missed it. Let's see. Following up with previous community concerns, there was a concern about the no parking signs and the street sweeping signs near Tropicana Manor. We're still pending a response on that in a combination of our Department of Transportation Services and Department of Facilities Maintenance. Let's see. There was a concern about signage at the stadium parking lot for the Skyline Rail. Cars are turning the wrong way from Kamehameha Highway to Salt Lake Boulevard. We're still investigating that. I believe we're trying to coordinate between our Department of Transportation Services and HPD to figure out a solution for that. Following up with the concerns of 645 Ahua and the notice violation, our Department of Planning and Permitting is reassessing that evaluation that they haven't been able to provide a response yet. Following up with the concerns noted earlier in this meeting, we'll take those concerns back. We'll see what the city can do. We'll try and contact the state. It's a fairly large issue. It's going to take multiple public-private possible partnerships. It's not a really straightforward or easy situation, but yeah, we'll definitely try and assess the situation and come up with a plan, and we'll try to present something to the board. Yeah, and we noted the concern earlier about the parking on Ala Ilima and Ala Nioi, about the post not included in the parking citation. I believe the Councilmember Cordero was nice enough to send me a link to some information, and it looks like the parking distance to crosswalks is about 20 feet. But I'll take that back to our Department of Transportation Services and see if we can. I was looking at the Google Street View for that intersection, and we'll see if there's something we can post out there to make it clearer for everybody to avoid potential tickets or issues in the future. So I'll post another link in the chat if anybody wants to check out. It's kind of a guideline and pamphlet for our potential parking citations. It's a pretty good link. Do we have any other comments or community concerns?
Board members, any questions for the mayor's office, Chandra?
Hi, Brian. Thank you very much for being here. Earlier you mentioned about the 645 Ahua, the planning and permitting is reassessing it. I'm a little concerned. What is the status of the DPP's hiring process? Because there are like over 8,000 permits that are still not being addressed. Have they hired people? Are they contracting out? What is the status so that people can, build the so-called homes that we need? or do renovations as needed?
So we've been hearing that they've been successful in filling some of their positions. They are actively recruiting. We see their notices and trying to recruit from the public. So I'll try to take that back and see where they are, as they when they talk about the hiring issues, they bring up the same numbers that you just identified, and trying to speed up the process as much as possible. So we're hoping some of the latest initiatives with trying to hire external consultants to help us with additional review, get those permit review times down. We're really hoping that helps, trying to chip away at the problem. But yeah, I'll ask them and see what they can provide a response.
What is their status now? Because, as far as even in the condos, we do have to get the DPP involved. Uh-oh, lights went out.
Yeah, here, hold on, give me a second.
There's those motions, the city offices have executive offices. Okay, not enough movement, that's why.
No, to save electricity, all of our lights are on timers, and if it's after hours, the lights all shut off. And if I don't get up to move every 20 minutes, it turn off on me.
I mean, it's going to be a concern only because I'm talking about, because if with the governor's new declaration that we're going to be speeding up and building more housing, DPP is going to be involved in this, and if they can't keep up as it is, they're going to be even more backlog. And so is that going to be, is the governor's projects going to be taking precedence over, all the ones that have been waiting for, 6 months to a year? So I'm just concerned because it's a problem.
No, that is exactly part of the issue that we need to identify. And as far as who goes first, that needs to be discussed, because it's not so simple. I mean, some of it can tie into what Board of Water Supply was saying earlier. Joyce is, do we have enough water capacity? Do we have enough sewer capacity? In some areas, yes. Some areas, no. It's a big overall issue that we need to identify, and it's not an easy situation. There's a lot of moving factors when you try to tackle this issue, but what we can see, especially from the governor's office and the mayor's office, that they're really working together to team up together to work at and trying to alleviate this as much as we can. So yeah, I'll go back. I'll see what DPP can do, because in the end, you're right. It really falls back to what's our capacity, and how can we ramp up now to solve this problem.
Wrapping it up for the mayor's office. Any other questions from the board? Joe?
Yeah. Thank you for looking out for the Tropicana Manor that turned into from Lilikoi into Ala Lima, that 3-car thing, where you could. I want to thank you guys because you've actually taken down that sign. The sign came down on that no parking on Thursday from 9 to 11. That sign came down. So now there's only one sign with a no parking that I mentioned earlier in the meeting. It's like a red thing, sticker, and just no parking. However, cars are still parking there, and so I was wondering, is it possible maybe where you might want to ask them if they can put up like a tollway zone or something, so people will take it seriously? Because right now, I think those cars, they just park there, and I think they've been parked there like forever. They don't move it, and so. Anyway, I was wondering if it's possible to put up a tollway zone sign just in that 3-car slot area where that turn is. And another thing, possibly, is it possible where maybe like you guys can utilize the red paint that we did once upon a time when I was a lot younger, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where you cannot park, it would be painted red on the curb. I haven't seen that over the decades, and the red has totally disappeared off everywhere in Salt Lake, where we live. In fact, all over the island, I noticed that there is no red. And I was wondering, is there a reason why the curb, like where you cannot park, is no longer red? Because it's so obvious that people will see it and they will not try to park illegally when there's the red thing there. Whereas like when it's not there, they can argue that, hey, it's a lot of people don't know. And I think this red color makes a big difference. I mean, it does stuff. So if you can check on that and let us know on that. And a good place to start would be right at the corner, the Tropicana corner as well. If you cannot put up the tollway zone by painting the curb red, I think it really gives a big hint that you shouldn't be parking there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, it's kind of strange. I'll go back and ask about do the red painted curb areas. I think we do, but I'll try to verify. But that was good to hear that the one sign was taken down, and then we'll see if we can put up a tollway zone, and then maybe even just trying to get HPD in the area to issue tickets. So yeah, we'll see what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian, just to chime in on that, the red zone, the painting was taken away by the city some years back. They saved it just for the buses only because it was federally mandated that 55 feet after the bus stop and 95 feet before, it was federal mandated. There was footage and red paint would be painted on the front and rear of the bus stop. But as far as the curbing and stuff, the city said they're no longer going to paint the curbing red. So I guess we stuck with signage unless that changes. So any other questions?
That's good to know. Thank you for that background. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Brian. Any other questions for the audience? Oh.
Thanks, everybody.
Moving on to, do you have anything else, Brian?
Nope.
City Council Member Cordero's office?
Good evening, everyone. Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, I just want to heard. All right, and I know you have my report already, but I'm going to share it on the screen as well. So, good evening, everyone. I just want to thank you and the board, and I want to congratulate Chair Gomes for being elected again as chair. I was so used to calling you Chair Gomes, and I always kept doing it. So I guess I guess it was just regular that I just continued to do so. So congratulations. It's great to see Auntie Patty there too. And now I'll go into my report. First off, we put in a work order to the Department of Facility Maintenance to repaint the faded yellow center lines on Ala Lilikoi and from Salt Lake Boulevard to Ala Lima Street. And so I hope that they'll be able to do so. We were just talking about Tropicana Manor right in front of that area. And also on my report, I provided some links for some activities at our parks as well. I do want to move on to the next few pages and then answer some questions. So on the second page, you can see some information about the Singaporean Crisis Lifeline. When we added this to our e-newsletter, it was a year since the 988 Lifeline was launched. So I just wanted to highlight that again a year after. Next up, installation of new upgraded parking meters across the city. You can see the report, but I did make it a point in our committee to ask about whether or not that is going to be implemented at the Lakini Mini Park parking lot, and they said that they would be able to do so. And I asked if we would be able to, add money to our meters if we are not currently at the meter, and they said that they would be able to do so with this new type of a service. And so if you would like to see the presentation, I would be glad to share that with the members, but that is if the members would want to. Next up, I know that Deputy Director Gallagher mentioned a bit of the information and put things in the chat, but I wanted to highlight this as well. The home exemption filing deadline is October 2, 2023, and as well as for the tax credit deadline is October 2, 2023. However, I want to reiterate for the public or whoever is listening, there are a few different emails and phone numbers for people to call. First off, is the home exemption filing deadline. This is the one that was affected by impacted by Bill 40, 2022, which we just passed out last month. This is the one that increases the home exemption from for homeowners under the age of 65 from 100,000 to 120,000, and for homeowners 65 years of age and older from 140,000 to 160,000. And so the phone number I want to give you, because once again, these are two different phone numbers, and I know you have it in front of you, but for those who are listening, the phone number for inquiries, you can call 808-768-3799, 808-763799. And once again, that's for the home exemption. Now, for the real property tax credit filing deadline, if you want to figure out your eligibility, if you want to be able to figure out what type of credits you'll be able to qualify for, that phone number is 808-768-3205, 808-768-3205. They also have two different emails on there. I know that was put on the chat, and I just wanted to reiterate that and highlight that. The website again, I know Deputy Director Gallagher mentioned it, but prettyhonolulu.com. And if you have any, if you want to see all of my reports, you can visit honolulucitycouncil.org to get that. Also, lastly, for my report, I would like to mention that along with United Public Workers and also with the great work that the State Senate and the Hawaii State Capitol is putting on for donations, the United Public Workers Union partnered with us at the City Council so that we can serve as a drop-off point for donations, as well as we can to support our community and neighbors on Maui. And you can see that we started it today, but we'll have donation drop off as well tomorrow, August 11, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., as well as on Monday, August 14 from 8 a.m. to noon. And then these will be once again in coordination with United Public Workers Union to get them to Maui, as well as I know there's about a lot of information going around, and I know that there's a lot of donations going around too. And so I hear that if you're unable to give actual materials, I know that monetary and cash donations is appreciated for the respected Maui donations as well. Next up, I do want to highlight or share where Deputy Director Gallagher put into the chat, but I wanted to share everyone as well the link that I shared with the Deputy Director. So this is a brochure by the Department of Transportation Services. And if you would like for me to, I could always share this link via email as well to all the neighborhood board members. And lastly, another presentation that I want to offer to share with you is about the DPP processes. I know Secretary Kanemaru brought this up about how they are speeding up the process. I just wanted to share that with you. And I actually had that in a neighborhood board report prior, but it was just kind of like a recap. But I would like to share that as well with you tomorrow or after this neighborhood board, so you can actually look at the presentation that they provided to the council. And something that the council is looking at, and there's some I don't want to say differing opinions, but like we're looking at different ways to help the department speed up their processes, either through tweaking the third-party review process as well as self-certification for certain projects. So we're going to be having that discussion throughout the next few months as well. And I just wanted to wrap it up because I know that I'm supposed to talk shorter than 3 minutes, but I just wanted to highlight all of those.
Board members, any questions for the council member? Audience, any questions for the council member? No?
Actually, I have a comment. So when you were talking about parking meters, when you brought up the Lakini Street public parking. So my biggest concern would be is that currently for that parking lot, because I live in that area, and I might be wrong because I haven't used it lately. I believe it's like you pay $1 for 12 hours of usage. And that's because it's coin metered. Now, if the city and county was to put in these card readed type of meters, I can imagine it's not gonna be no $1 for 12 hours anymore. And I mean, there's a lot of people who utilize that lot because of the condos in the area, and some are single parents. I don't know if they could afford a higher pay to use that parking lot. So I would like to ask for you guys to please take that into consideration also. Thank you.
Thank you for remembering.
Thank you, council member. Appreciate you. Moving on to the governor's office.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair. Tammy Lee from the Department of Transportation. So this evening, when I was preparing the report, I thought my usual deal is to highlight what's in the Keala hole, but instead I know that everyone, right now is a really somber time, and at the forefront of everybody's mind are the wildfires in Maui and on Hawaii Island. So I just wanted to kind of say or give an update on what the governor has been doing. So it's been in the media, you know, the fourth EP or executive proclamation suspended some laws, and this one went even further than the first three. You know, there's price gouging in there. It also suspended a lot of waterway type laws. President Biden also this morning signed the Hawaii Disaster Declaration. It unlocks the full power and support of the federal government, including FEMA, disaster relief resources, and direct financial support for our communities that have been affected. Also grants for temporary rent and home repairs. For the DOT, from Tuesday, we're working with the airlines to reduce the cost of airfare so tourists could go back to their home states and for our residents to be able to come to Honolulu. Our Maui District Office is supporting Maui County clearing routes after HECO goes in to clear their power lines. The only update that I have from last month was the Pu'uloa off-ramp at Tripler and the change in the traffic signal timing. And I apologize, Member Baird, I went back to my traffic branch and I asked them, but I had very little information to give them. I gave them the map, and what they said was, ask or follow up on which off-ramp, time of day, and what traffic movement to improve. So I sent an email to then Chair Shigemasa. He didn't get back to me. I tried to review the Olelo video again, and I couldn't tell where you were talking about. So if I could, can I have somebody's contact information so that I can get back, you know, with clarifications in a timely manner and not have to wait 1 month to get back to you?
I'll give you my information.
Okay. And also, you know, I really want to try to be as beneficial to the community. I mean, you guys really inspired me to be more involved in my community. And so I just want to make sure that what I provide is not seen as postmortem that you can read in the media, but it's something, you know, that's beneficial to the Salt Lake, Aliamano, Foster Village community.
Are you going to stick around until the meeting's over?
Yes.
And I'll talk to you about it after the meeting.
Any questions for the governor's office?
This one, I've seen this posted And I'm pretty shocked that this has to do with Maui. I'm so sorry, but I mean, I know there's people coming here. I have a family member trying to get here right now, from Maui. And is there a reason why, I know the airlines, the Southwest and Hawaiian Airlines have pretty much dropped their fees to nearly zero, but it's something about the TSA fee, which is the $19, that's what they're still charging people $19 to get them out of Maui. I can understand for tourists because they came here on vacation, but for locals that are trying to get relocated to the other islands, I think that should be waived.
The TSA is a federal agency, but I can inquire with the airports.
I'm all for tourists, but for the locals who are trying to get replaced to other islands with their families, they shouldn't be charged that $19.
Any other questions for the governor's office? So if you, back to that question, it's up to the airlines if they're gonna get rid of that fee, not the government. So the government can chime in and make recommendations, but it's still strictly up to Hawaiian Air and Southwest, like whoever else flies to the neighbor islands. Just wanna thank the governor. This is such a tragedy. All these islands, and listening to the 50-something people already died in this tragedy. Thank the mayor of Maui and the governor for coming out, and at least getting the message out to everyone. We just have so many questions, us living on Oahu and have family on Maui. At least they're starting to, I mean, they have been putting out information that benefits everybody, not only the island of Maui, but the rest of the islands. So, mahalo for that. Any other questions, Governor's Office? Thank you for coming on. Moving on to State House Representative Linda Ichion. Is she on? She's on the. Let's see. No. No, moving along, State House Rep Micah Ayu.
Hello, good evening, Chair, board members. Just really quick recap that the legislature is also joining in the support to help Maui. So if you want to do drop off at the state legislature in front of the Father Damien statue, we'll be there tomorrow, 10 to 2 p.m. You can just drive through the little turnaround in front of the statue, and we'll meet you out there and collect goods, and we'll have it shipped over to Maui. And if you want to make monetary donations, I was using the Hawaii Community Foundation link, which I can also post in the chat if you want to make monetary donations. We do want to warn everyone that there are scams going on. I know this is an unfortunate situation, but to be very careful because there are scams and people are posting that they're going to make sure the money is going to Maui and it's a scam. So please be vigilant in this, and it's never too early to start preparing for hurricane season yourself. We think that this can happen to us, but we want to make sure that you have 7-day supply of food and water as well. So maybe not something you need to go rush out and do right away, but just something to be aware about. So if I'm now open for any questions if you have any.
Any questions for Representative Ayu? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Chair, board members. Have a good evening.
Senator Wakai.
Aloha. As we were talking in the past couple of speakers, there's a real focus on helping our friends and family over on Maui. To follow up in Representative Ayu's commentary, the legislature today started a 2-day collection process, and we got way more than we thought. We thought we might have a hard time over the next 2 days to fill one 40-foot container, but I'm happy to say that we filled 2 40-foot containers. There's more stuff in the basement of the state capitol, and it really just goes to show how much aloha we have for each other. We all live in a very special place. We might have differences of opinion, but when things are in the state that they're in currently. It's really wonderful to see the community coming out the way they have. So I encourage you, if you don't want to make a monetary donation, follow Councilwoman Cordero or Representative Ayu's suggestion to take whatever you have for the people of Maui who have absolutely nothing. So that continues tomorrow at the state capitol, and it's again from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. You can drop it off over by Father Damien. In other good news for the district, over at Radford High School, many of us know that they have a pretty good culinary program, and that pretty good is getting even better. The governor just released $65,000 for them to upgrade some of their culinary equipment there. So we can look forward to having even better chefs coming out of the Radford complex. And I wanted to mention that in my efforts to bring private sector performances to Maunalua High School, I got the Hawaii Opera Theater to come there in October. They're going to have 3 play dates, 13th, 14th, and 15th. It's a show called An American Dream. And I encourage you to go there just for your enjoyment, but also to help Maunalua realize the revenues that they need to keep that theater dazzling for decades to come. As I've kind of conveyed to you in the past, that Maunalua Theater was built for the students at Maunalua, but not only for them. It's for our enjoyment and pleasure as well. And if we can bring in private sector entertainment, we can make Salt Lake more of a focal point for culture and the arts, and bring in much needed revenues so that we as taxpayers don't have to pay for leaking roofs and broken elevators in the future. So I did send Chandra the newsletter with the link to that website if any of you care to support the Hawaii Opera Theater at Maunalua High School. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Yomes.
Anybody have questions for the Senator or audience? Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Good night.
Congressman Ed Casey's office. Moving on to community updates, Aloha Stadium Authority.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board, and members of the board. My name is David Harris. I'll be filling in for Chris Markets and I'm talking about the new Aloha Stadium Entertainment District. Things have been quietly progressing over the course of June and July. Right now, we're in a process called market sounding. And market sounding is, if you think about it, similar to a quality control process before the state issues the procurement documents later on this year. So what that has entailed is we conducted a webinar with roughly 160 participants in June. That was followed up with some written correspondence to a range of prospective offerers, which was followed by one-on-one interviews over the period of the last couple of weeks. That will conclude with a report that we're sending up to the government over the course of August, containing some key findings and recommendations of our engagement with the market to, as I said, really look at some quality control and make sure that the state has refined its procurement process to a good marketable project. So when we do issue procurement documents later this year, we'll have strong market interest and competition in the project.
Could you put the volume up, please?
Sorry, with that.
It's better, but on our side, if you can make it louder on your side.
Okay, well, that was about the end of my discussion. I'll hand over to Ryan Andrews from the Stadium Authority, and we can take questions together when Ryan.
Thank you, David, and good evening, board members, and congratulations, Chair Yomes. I'm Ryan Andrews from the Aloha Stadium, and I just have a couple of event updates for you. First, JCI Honolulu is hosting its first Megabon event on August 26th from 5 to 10 p.m. in our lower Halava parking lot. This is a large community bone dance along with a wide variety of food, games, live entertainment. We are expecting a large crowd given that it is free to enter. And although I have not received confirmation yet, we are being told by the promoters that Skyline will be staying open late for this event. So for those that are coming from the west side, hopefully they'll take advantage of this. Information can be found on the stadium website, alohastadium.hawaii.gov. Last month we hosted 2 concert events in our upper lot, and we have one more coming up on September 23rd with the group Rebel Soldiers. Tickets for that go on sale starting this Saturday at tmrevents.net. And then finally, I thought I'd share a quick statistic regarding the Skyline and our swap meet. Obviously, we only have a small data set given that the Skyline has only been open for 6 weeks. But our walk-in traffic is actually up 30% compared to the same time last year. And I did exclude the days when Skyline was free when looking at the data. And again, I realize it's a short data set, but it is encouraging to see people using the Skyline to attend the swap meet. And it could be a window into our future with more people opting to take alternate modes of transportation to attend events and activities. And then finally, we will also be doing a supply drop-off point for our friends on Maui. More information can be found on our website. It will likely be next Saturday, but again, please check our website. We'll be doing some promotions on that as well. I will leave it there, Chair. If there's any questions, David and I are happy to answer. Thank you.
Any questions, board, for Aloha Stadium? Christina, go ahead.
The Bond Dance thing, you said it's free admission. Is that free parking also?
No, parking is $9 per vehicle, but it's free admission into the event. Or again, you could take an alternate mode of transportation if you don't want to pay for parking.
Any other questions? Anybody else from Aloha Stadium? Yes. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Question. Garner Shimizu. Garner, you had a question?
I just put it in the chat. I don't know if it was the audio, but I couldn't hear anything David Harris shared, and I'm sure he had some very important information that we could benefit from really hearing what he shared. If he could just briefly repeat and summarize what he shared.
Thanks, Governor. Can you hear me better now or change microphones?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Apologies, I switched to my better microphone and it provided worse performance. The state is undertaking a process at the moment called market sounding for the new Aloha Stadium Entertainment District project. Market sounding can be viewed as like a quality controlled process that we go through prior to issuing our procurement documents. No P3 project is the same, so this process is meant to engage with prospective offerers to make sure that the process is going to give the best result for the state, but also ensuring that we had competition and strong interest from the market. That started off with a webinar in June, followed by some written feedback from the market, culminating in some face-to-face meetings with some prospective offerers over the course of July. And we're now in the process of finalising the report and sending that up to the state government with various findings and recommendations. And I hope that's a lot clearer this time.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Garner, you had any questions for him?
No questions. I just wanted to hear David. So thank you for the time and repeating.
Moving on. Rail. Anybody from the rail project?
Yes. Hello? Can you hear me? Hi.
Sure.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. My name is Marissa Gonzalez, and I'm part of the public involvement team at Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transportation. I'm here to provide you with a quick update on our ongoing efforts for the rail transit project. The first segment of our rail system is now operational, and as we continue forward, our main focus remains on completing segment 2. Segment 2 spans approximately 5.2 miles of elevated rail guideway and 4 rail stations that will connect Aloha Stadium to the Middle Street Kalihi Transit Center. These stations include Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam, Airport, Lagoon Drive, and Middle Street. I would like to also report that the guideway and track work for this segment have reached full completion. Additionally, the construction progress of all 4 stations is currently above 90%. HART is on track to complete station construction by the end of 2023. The work activities within the airport segment is ongoing and progressing. Our core systems contractor, Hitachi, is also in the process of installing their train operations equipment. After the necessary testing, the goal is to transfer the segment to the Department of Transportation Services for passenger service by 2025. Looking ahead, the third operating segment covers approximately 3 miles of rail guideway and includes 6 stations. It spans from Middle Street Station to the Civic Center Station. HART is also actively engaged in utility relocation work in the Dillingham and downtown areas, a crucial step that will make the way for the column installation during the construction of the guideway and stations. The procurement process is underway for the City Center Guideway and Stations contract. The first part of the request for proposal, RFP, was released on April 4, 2023, with the second part anticipated later this year. HART anticipates the contract award and notice to proceed in 2024. Regarding federal funding, I want to follow up on a recent question from board member Joseph Amora. While HART did receive $70 million through the American Rescue Plan Act in 2021, additional federal funding has not been released since 2017. There is $744 million of federal funding remaining. However, its release is subject to specific achievements and milestones. This concludes my report. I hope this update provides you with insights into the ongoing developments of the project. Before I finish, I'd like to also share the best ways for you to stay connected and updated on HART construction progress and project details. For the latest information, please visit honolulutransit.org. For written inquiries, you can also email us at info@honolulutransit.org. Our 24/7 project hotline is also available at 808-566-2299. To receive regular updates, I also strongly encourage you to sign up for our weekly e-blast for new updates that is released every Monday. I will go ahead and share that info in the chat box shortly. Thank you for your time. I'm now open to any questions that you may have about HART's construction. And again, if I can't address your question today, I'll make sure to that you receive a response at the next meeting. Thank you.
Board members, any questions on rail? Joe, you have the floor.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you for checking up on the question I asked, and also I ride the rail twice a week because my office is in Pearl City. I live in Salt Lake, and so I find that it's really, really good. I mean, the ride is like really great. It's above ground, so I feel like the first couple of times I rode it was like I was in Disneyland kind of thing, riding the high ride kind of stuff, you know, and it's amazing, you know, like they say, oh, nobody's riding the rail, but I've seen incidences where I see the rail not really packed, but with a group of people in there, a whole bunch of families, and it's interesting. I just sit down and just listen to all the kids and everybody. They're all excited, you know, and even the parents are like, check out that area. Hey, look, that's Pearl Harbor. Oh, that's the mountain. Oh, that's the, you know, Shinkin and whatever, right? And it's impressive. So I just want to give words of positive, you know, stuff that I'm hearing, because I'm hearing a lot of negative from a lot of bluebirds out there, and there are a lot of people I think that are pretty happy when they ride the rail.
Any other questions from the board for rail? Audience, anything for rail? Thank you.
Oh, there is actually somebody who has their hand raised.
Garner. Who is that? Garner. Garner, you had a question for rail?
I had a question. Actually, it's been a question that's been presented earlier, and the answer was they would get back. It's still a question, and the question specifically is the hammerhead repairs. The question was whether it was a contractor defect that was like a punch list item paid by the contractor, or is that a taxpayer cost?
I want to say no. the contractor has been handling all costs for Hammerhead repairs. I could provide more information and take down your name. If you can provide that to me in the chat box, I could get back to you, or board member. But the contractor has been handling all costs for Hammerhead repairs.
Okay. I just want to make sure that's an official statement and not just something that's off the top of your head or your opinion or something, you know?
No.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Military?
Hi, sorry to interrupt. My name is Jimmy Llanos. I'm from Board of Water Supply. I just had some main break updates.
I'm sorry, Jimmy. I thought your report was in the earlier part of our meeting. Go ahead. I apologize.
Oh no, it's okay. My part will be short. Like I said, my name is Jimmy Llanos. I'm an engineer from Board of Water, and I'm here to give the monthly main break report. On July 7th of this year, there was a main break on Lehia Street, and it was an 8-inch diameter cast iron pipe. Now I'll move on to our general water announcements. This is on disaster preparedness. It's summertime, which means it is officially hurricane season through November 30th. Being prepared and having an emergency kit available for your household is essential. And these are our 3 tips. First one is residents should store at least 1 gallon of water per person daily for at least 14 days, and don't forget about your pets. The second is during an emergency, stay tuned to media reports. And our last tip is to subscribe to the city's hnl.info website. This is a great way to receive information bulletins by the BWS and other emergency city agencies. You can find out more at www.boardofwatersupply.com. And that concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Board members, any questions for the Board of Water Supply? Joe, you up?
Yeah. Is there Joyce Lynn that's in your group?
She also works at Board of Water, but she works in a different section. I gave her a presentation on the monitoring wells. But yeah, she's at Board of Water.
Okay, thanks.
Audience, any questions for Board of Water Supply? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to the military.
Hey, aloha, Chair Jones and board members, Chuck Alpine with Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam. I'll talk issues related to Red Hill, and then my colleague Vic will talk about just things in general, and then we'll take your questions if you have any. Today, Joint Task Force Red Hill announced their intention to begin repacking operations in the pipelines of Red Hill facility on the 28th of this month. Essentially what repacking means is that they're reintroducing fuel from the tanks into the lines in sort of pre-staging before the actual defueling happens. But it's the reverse process. They had unpacked the lines that could do all the repairs that need to be done on the pipelines and such. Those repairs have all been done. And so now the process is repacking those lines so that you can get any air pockets out before the actual defueling begins. So that should be taking place, again, on or about the 28th of this month. Also wanted to touch base on the item that kind of hit the news Monday night and Tuesday, and that was testing long-term monitoring. The initial reports were that there might have been some constituents of fuel in a couple of tests that took place. What happened was that this was just the early preliminary test results, and the the lab did a retesting, and both of those came back non-detect for any kind of oil or any type of organic substances that might have been associated with oil. So over the last 18 months or so, in terms of doing all the long-term monitoring, the laboratory has done more than 6,500 tests. 3 had initially come back as possibly having some sort of oil or type constituent in it, but then upon validation of those test results, they all came back non-detect. So the bottom line is that after 6,500 tests, water remains clean, and there have been no detections of any kind of jet fuel in the water since the initial instances that happened in November and December of 2021. Okay.
Thank you, Jeff. Hello, board. Victor Flint, Naval Facilities. We got reports of some real bad graffiti problems on the Halekeke Child Development Center that shut down. And we went out there to check it out, and yeah, it's pretty bad. And on one of the walls it says, "Kill yourself." And this is visible from the students in the 3rd and 4th grade at the school next door. The very next day we sent a crew down to paint over the "Kill yourself," plus the tagging, But we are leaving some of that artwork, which is beautiful. The big mapua up there and other things that's kind of nice. But the tagging, the obscenities, the slurs, and the "kill yourself," gone. The other thing is the horrible, catastrophic fire on Maui. Navy is assisting with rescue and response. We sent Black Hawk helicopters, personnel, equipment to assist with that effort now. And this is in cooperation with state and federal agencies. And our thoughts and prayers are with the people affected by this horrible catastrophic event. That's all I have. Are there any questions for Chuck or myself?
Any questions for the military? Board member Joe?
Yeah, I was listening to interviews from Maui about people saying, like they heard constant explosions because what was happening was their gas lines, right? Many of the houses there and buildings were all gas lines, and there were huge explosions from the heat that melted the metal pipes and stuff. It's then caused the explosion. I was wondering, okay, in Hawaii, on this island, right? We have the jet fuel in the piping like that. If something of that Maui type of thing was to happen here, what would happen if the heat got on? How protective is that casing with the for the jet fuel?
Just for clarification, are you talking about inside Red Hill, or are you talking
I'm
about
talking about the pipe going down?
Pipe with fuel in it.
Yeah, the
pipelines
that are outside, up on the ground kind of thing that you can see traveling around.
Right, but are you talking about the ones that are coming from the refinery on Kapolei, that run towards the airport, or are you talking about on the base, or?
Could be any of them. But just that if something like that was to happen with a piping system where fuel is going through and the heat melted it, is it possible where the heat could actually melt the pipe stuff? Because I know your piping would be a lot more thicker than what those gas stoves and stuff are up there.
The answer is, if there's fuel in the pipe and there's a fire around the pipe, keep the fuel flowing. The fuel actually keeps the temperature of the pipe itself well below the failure part. So, kind of an interesting thing, but that's what we do, speaking as a firefighter. But in every situation, it depends on the situation. In general, like at Campbell, yeah, you keep it flowing. what's dangerous is if there's no fuel, just fumes.
Yeah, that's the fume, I heard about that.
There's nothing to cool the metal, and then that's when bad things happen. But everything taken individually. It's up to the incident command to run that.
Audience, we have anything for the military? Thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to any other government agencies or schools that's online or not in the audience. You have anything online up there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Alejandro Diaz with US EPA. I'm filling in for Dominique. I think you guys remember me. I was at a meeting probably 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So quick update, just a couple of things. One on the Red Hill defueling timeline. Still slated to start defueling in mid-October. I think JTF has published that they've completed all the repairs, but we still have about 5 repairs that US EPA and DOH need to approve. Those 5 repairs are probably going to be some of the more difficult ones, as you can expect. And so we're hoping that we can complete those, and then we can give the approval to start defueling as soon as possible. The second thing that I have is our community representation initiative. Had a public meeting late last month, and got a lot of public input, both online and at the public meeting, on how the community feels this process should go. We got over 60 responses online, and we had over about 50 community members at the public meeting late last month. And so from now to August 15th, we're kind of looking to kind of refine the nomination process for this 10 CRI members, community representation initiatives, and then also hopefully voting by the end of this month on those members, and so that we can get started with the group. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the community representation initiative, it's something that Navy agreed to in the administrative consent order, to have this group where US EPA and the JTF are participating in being able to have this smaller discussion group that's able to kind of do deep dives into a lot of other different issues that come up with defueling. And the intention is for that group to meet about 2 times a quarter, and then also have a larger public meeting for everyone later on. And then for my last update, because I know we've talked about it a lot, in Maui, yesterday, US EPA received a mission assignment from FEMA. This is pretty much hot off the presses. We haven't kind of put any information on this out yet, but it's essentially an ESF-10 mission assignment, which is going to be, going in after the fire is done and after rescue crews have, gone through every single property and, figured out if there's any, God forbid, human remains or any other remains on the property. US EPA will be the next one to come in on those burnt properties to look for household hazardous waste, so like paint cans, propane tanks that might, explode, batteries, things like that, that are pretty common, that we can collect and that we can dispose of properly before, any other work happens on these properties. So hopefully that means that by next week we'll be out there, and I will be assisting. I will be out there with US EPA probably as soon as next week to start that work. So that's the update from US EPA. If you guys have any questions.
Any questions, board members? People in the audience, any questions? Thank you for coming on, appreciate it.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, board, this will be the end of our meeting. We'll be meeting next month, September 14th, at 6:30 p.m. at a location to be determined. Just to let you know, since I was appointed chair, this probably will not be the venue that we will be having for next month's meeting unless I don't come up with a location. But we need to be closer to our constituents, and that way they can be easier to drive and come to the meeting in person. So just giving you a heads up that we probably won't meet here again, and it'll come out when we send out the flyers for next month's meeting. Any questions before we close, board members? Joe, what do you have?
Yeah, is it possible, like, there are people that weren't on, like our last speaker wasn't on here yet, he should have been on here, kind of thing?
He's included in government agencies.
Usually though, we had it more,
I'm just saying.
oh yeah, we had it more streamlined, where we actually had it like EPA on there.
Okay, well, let me look into that. If EPA is gonna be one of the regulars, then I'll put them on the agenda. If not, they can come under the government agencies and schools.
Yeah.
Cause I think
Because
they
they're
speak,
not regular.
I think they speak like, every 2 months or so.
Yeah, I'll make contact with them and then I'll set the agenda. Any other questions, board members?
Can we have it put on the agenda? I know we didn't do this the last 12 months, but I know 12 months prior, we used to have subcommittees, if we can do subcommittees for our next work. Subcommittees, we used to have it.
Okay, let me look at, I'll work on that.
It was like safety, security, all
Yeah.
different.
I'll get the assignments out there and who's assigned to what, and the next meeting will be a little bit more organized. I apologize for starting this meeting late, because we had some traffic issues, but, with all that said, this meeting is adjourned.
I have a question. I don't know which one.